Welcome to this explainer. You know, tonight, when the sun goes down, you're probably going to walk into a room, just flip a switch, and bam, light instantly floods the space. It's this modern miracle we completely take for granted. But that simple flick of a switch, it actually masks an absolutely fascinating, almost completely forgotten history of what the dark really means for human biology.
I want you to try and imagine a world of just absolute pitch black. Like, when the sun set for our ancient ancestors, the world practically disappeared. I mean, literally, they couldn't even see their own hands in front of their faces. It sets up this incredible and honestly kind of terrifying central mystery of our past. What on earth did they actually do when the world vanished and all they had was the darkness?
Well, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to grasp the sheer dizzying scale of human time on this planet. Get this, for 99.9% of human history, artificial light simply did not exist. No street lamps, definitely no glowing smartphone screens, and for the vast majority of that timeline, not even candles. There was literally just the black sky and the stars.
Let's put that massive percentage into a concrete number. 300,000 years. For 300,000 years, every single one of your human ancestors spent roughly half their entire life in near total darkness. I mean, they lived in a completely different reality than the one you and I have it today. So, how did we finally start to conquer that absolute dark?
The story of how we first pushed back the night kicks off roughly 1 million years ago down at the Wondervert Cave in South Africa. This is the site of the earliest solid evidence we have of controlled fire. And before this evolutionary spark, our ancestors were just like every other primate out there. When the sun set, you simply hid in the trees, or, found a shelter, stayed perfectly still, and just crossed your fingers that you'd survive until morning.
But fire? Fire literally drew a physical line between life and death. A typical campfire creates this circle of safety that's roughly 30 feet across. Inside that glowing boundary, you were warm, and more importantly, you survived. But outside that circle, apex predators equipped with vastly superior night vision, we're talking leopards and hyenas, were out there waiting. So fire became our ultimate invisible shield against the terrors of the night.
Now, fire didn't just keep us safe from the things that go bump in the night. It completely restructured the human day. By holding back the dark, fire basically worked magic. It added up to 4 usable hours to our lives every single evening. Suddenly, the day didn't just hard stop at sunset. We had this brand new block of time. And what we did with those extra hours, it changed our species forever.
So how exactly did we use that newly conquered time? Well, in this fascinating 2014 study, anthropologist Polly Wisner analyzed conversations among the Juhonzi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, and she uncovered a massive night-and-day shift in human focus depending on the sun. During the day, conversation was super practical, right? Logistics, hunting, working. But at night, the focus completely shifted away from daytime survival into something entirely new and honestly profound. Around the warm glow of the fire, a staggering 81% of those conversations were stories. 81%. We're talking tales of distant lands, thrilling adventures, myths about how the world began, and jokes that just made the whole camp crack up. Wisner argues that this firelit conversation is actually where human culture was born. The campfire basically became our original theater, our very first classroom, and our earliest church, all rolled into one.
But hold on. The night wasn't entirely dedicated to swapping stories around the flames. There was this completely different biological rhythm taking place out there in the dark. Back in 2001, historian Roger Eckerch uncovered something truly shocking. Digging through over 500 historical records, we're talking everything from medieval diaries and medical texts all the way back to Homer's Odyssey, he found that humans universally used to sleep in 2 distinct blocks. They called them first sleep and second sleep.
This builds a completely alien map of the night compared to what we're used to today. Check this out. People would go to sleep shortly after sunset for about 4 hours. Then, they would consistently wake up for 1 to 2 hours right in the dead of night. This period was universally known as the watch, before going back into a second 4-hour sleep until dawn. Crazy, right?
And here's the best part. People didn't just lie there in frustration during the watch, staring at the ceiling like we do today when we can't fall back asleep. They were highly active. Ordinary diaries show people using this time to interpret fresh dreams. A doctor's manual from the 1500s advised it was the absolute best time for quiet study and reflection. And get this, a 16th century French physician even explicitly recommended this midnight window as the absolute optimal time to conceive children.
For a long time, modern historians actually thought this was just a myth.
They assumed people misread ancient texts because, honestly, they simply couldn't imagine a world without a single solid 8-hour block of sleep. Well, that was until a groundbreaking 1992 experiment by psychiatrist Thomas Ware. He took volunteers and completely plunged them into 14 hours of absolute daily darkness for a whole month. Basically, he perfectly recreated the lighting conditions of our ancient ancestors.
The results were absolutely incredible. Without any external prompting whatsoever, the volunteers naturally reverted right back to this biphasic, two-part sleep pattern. But the biology behind it is what's truly amazing. During their midnight waking hours, their brains produced remarkably elevated levels of prolactin. That's the exact same hormone tied to deep meditation. They experience this peaceful, distinct state of human consciousness that, honestly, most modern people have never, ever felt.
So what exactly happened to this meditative midnight consciousness? Well, we kind of killed it with our own ingenuity. Our rapid technological march against the dark really changed everything. In the 1600s, cities like Paris got street lamps to deter crime. Then came cheaper candles, gas lamps in the 1800s, and finally, Thomas Edison commercializing the electric light bulb in 1879. Within just a few generations, this 300,000-year-old biological reality was completely, utterly erased.
And you know, we often forget just how terrifying the unlit night was before all these inventions. To really understand how much we feared the dark, just look at the origin of the word curfew. It comes from the French phrase couvre-feu, which literally means cover fire. It was an actual bell rung in medieval towns signaling you to extinguish your fires, because the night was this highly dangerous time that belonged only to sleep, criminals, and the supernatural. In some places, walking around at night was literally illegal.
Fast forward to today, and we've conquered that deep ancestral fear of the dark so completely that the average human is exposed to 7 to 8 hours of artificial light after sunset. 7 to 8 hours. We constantly bathe ourselves in glowing screens and LED bulbs, and we generally just consider this unending illumination to be the ultimate sign of progress and productivity.
But here's the catch. This modern light habit is literally chemically tricking your brain. When blue light from your phone or TV hits your retina at 11 p.m., your brain doesn't know the difference between a light bulb and the actual sun. It interprets that light as daytime, which chemically suppresses and delays the release of your sleep hormone, melatonin. Just like that, boom, a biological rhythm millions of years in the making completely fragments.
But hey, there is some incredibly hopeful news here. Amazingly, researchers have found that it takes just one single week of camping out in nature with absolutely zero artificial light to completely fix this. Think about that. In just 7 days, campers have their broken melatonin cycles reset by nearly 2 full hours, snapping right back into sync with the setting sun.
That incredibly rapid reset proves something super profound about us. Our ancient biological programming? It isn't gone. It hasn't evolved away at all. It is simply buried underneath all our modern glowing screens. Your body still perfectly remembers exactly how to live in the dark. It's honestly just waiting for you to turn off the lights.
And this is exactly why we might need to completely reframe our modern struggles with sleep. Right now, if we wake up in the middle of the night, we tend to view our bodies as these broken machines, suffering from this massive disorder called insomnia. But what if we look at it through the lens of ancient reality? That midnight wakefulness was actually a core feature of our biology, a highly productive time for connection and reflection that we used to call the watch.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Over the centuries, we essentially traded the starry sky, the campfire stories, and our two-part sleep for a simple light switch, and most of us never even knew it was gone. But the next time you wake up at 2 a.m. and find yourself lying there staring into the dark, consider this. Your body might not be malfunctioning at all. It might just be remembering exactly what it was built to do.